Welcome to Ideagen TV. Today we are ecstatic to have with us Peggy Pelonis, the president of ACS Athens. Peggy, welcome.
Thank you, George. It's good to be here.
You know, Peggy, it's always incredible to have you on Ideagen TV. You are a global leader. You are the definition of a global leader. You are a connector. You are a cross-sector collaborator. And I'm going to continue to embarrass you with all of the accolades, but they're all so incredibly true. And today especially is emblematic of your ability to connect incredible individuals from across sectors to perhaps solve so many of the world's most vexing issues. And so, especially during this time of a global pandemic, you have shown that these connections and collaborative efforts are able to transcend truly one of the most difficult times in human history. And so with that, I toss it over to you for what will be, no doubt, an incredibly inspiring and insightful panel.
Thank you, George. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I truly believe that collaboration is the way to go. And that is also the 17th global goal of the United Nations. But I really want to just welcome today our speakers, wonderful speakers. It's exciting to bring a group of such diverse people together with incredibly high social interest, and people who through their daily work do things that are so significant in investing in human capital and contributing towards the global goals. And I think perhaps most noteworthy about this group of people is the humility with which they approach their work, and it really makes their work exemplary. So let me just begin by introducing each of the panelists and the organizations that they come from, and then we can go back and ask them specific questions. Beginning with Effie Chochiou, General Director of the Onassis Foundation. Jimmy Athanasopoulos, representative of Libras Group Social Responsibility in Greece. Mark Wolper, Hollywood producer, Angel Flight West pilot. Kiran Sethi, founder of Design for Change Global in India. Lydia Piniru, rising sophomore at Royal Holloway University in the UK and founder of Kinonos. Maria Anagnostopoulou, project manager and financial analyst for Involved Entrepreneurship in Greece. And Cam Chauhan, CEO of the Educational Collaborative for International Schools, otherwise known as ECIS. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Let me just begin with Effie Chochiou, General Director of the Onassis Foundation, and just kind of hone in on the three pillars that the Onassis Foundation is so well known for, taking the quote right out of your website: culture, education, and health. These are the things that human beings need to truly live. So Effie, please tell us, what is the foundation's role in regards to the Sustainable Development Goals?
Yes, as you said, the Onassis Foundation supports education, culture, and health as a vehicle for social solidarity. So its main aim is the protection of all that makes us human. So we work collectively to achieve this goal, embracing change and global challenges. We also believe that any foundation with a public mission needs to be able to relate its work with the SDGs, whether in education, climate justice, rights, humor, social or individual, or in innovation, sustainable cities, peace, justice, and strong institutions. It is absolutely necessary to develop the instruments, the methodologies, and the programs that are capable to address these challenges. However, each foundation approaches the implementation of SDGs through its programs in its own way that corresponds to its mission, character, and priorities. So the Onassis Foundation sees the SDGs as an opportunity to create discussions and provoke unexpected encounters in society, and in that sense, to create possibilities and potential where they did not exist before.
Effie, you have one of the most esteemed program of scholarships that has created a global network of scientists, researchers, and professionals of all kinds and all kinds of artists. What are the challenges and the opportunities of this network in the digital era?
Yes, it means that you need to focus on the triangle of values, literacy, and skills to instill the competencies necessary to be a global citizen and be able to make a difference. So our aim is to develop the structures and initiatives that will support an organic educational program, not in an isolated, but in a deeply integrated environment with a whole educational experience process. This means that a digital innovation needs to transpose the ghetto of the computer lab with the STEM programs and become part of any other theme or discipline in the school. For that reason, in the Anasa School Labs we're currently developing, we work in an integrated organic fashion. We identify schools that operate as multipliers in the Greek educational system. We work both with public and private schools, where teachers and students operate as a community or a swarm of excellence, I would say, where through digital platforms and physical events, they are able to exchange best practices, knowledge, and experience. And this program is divided into two phases. So in the first phase, our scientific board works close with the school teachers in order to develop both the teaching program and the physical space of the lab, where they will work with the students. And in the second phase, the school teachers work with their students, co-creating their curriculum and lab, and integrating the digital competencies within the educational experience. And it's only when you manage to make technology visible that you can really talk about technology.
And I know that your work spreads across the globe. Okay, moving on to Mark Wolper, Hollywood producer, and it produced at some point one of my favorite series, The Mists of Avalon. That was a while ago, but that was one of my favorite series, Mark. Also, I'm proud to say he's an ACS Athens graduate, member of our board of trustees. But the work that really is making a difference that few people know about Mark is that he's a pilot for Angel Flight West. Indeed, an angel from the sky to provide some essential services to those in need. Mark, what is Angel Flight West, and how did you become involved?
Effie, thank you. It's great being here today. So yes, I mean, we all try to do two things in our lives: take care of ourselves and our family, and take care of the world. So in addition to being a producer in Hollywood and producing television and film, which takes care of the first thing, the second thing I do is try to do my part to take care of the world. So I'm lucky enough to be able to own and have a small aircraft, just a little one, just a little propeller, doesn't go too fast. It's not a jet. I'm not that fancy a Hollywood producer. And, you know, so what hundreds and hundreds, almost 1,000 people across the United States and actually around the world do is they take their small airplanes and they provide a service that most people don't realize is needed. We're all aware of the fact that we want to get money to hospitals and healthcare and health education and to all that. But besides the cost of healthcare, the biggest barrier to healthcare is transportation. How do you get people from rural, in the middle of nowhere places to the healthcare that they actually need? Well, all around the world, people are getting in their small aircrafts every day. About 450 flights every day around the world, 365 days a year. They get in their small airplanes at their own cost, fly out into the middle of nowhere, pick up people that need to get to hospitals or to healthcare somewhere in urban centers, and fly them to the help they need. And this is happening all over the world and trying to eliminate that problem of the difficulty of transportation. So that's what Angel Flight West does. It happens all over the world. For various goals, for getting people to hospitals, for getting animals to care, for getting organs transported wherever they need, for disaster relief. It's just a great opportunity to use the gift that we've been given.
Mark, how active was Angel Flight West during the pandemic? What were some of the challenges that you faced?
Well, the biggest challenge was in the initial onset of the virus. We had to stop operations because nobody really understood what was going on. Now, we stopped patient and human transportation. We didn't stop organs or animals And then we very, very quickly transitioned into transporting personal protection gear, masks to indigenous areas in the United States, to rural areas that couldn't get enough stuff. So we transitioned to that. And now we have a protocol actually for transporting pilots and passengers together again. So we're doing that.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Let's go to Kiran. Kiran, founder of Design for Change Global, India. Design for Change, you say, offers every child a magic formula to help them graduate with an I can mindset. Can you tell us more about this concept and what caused you to start this?
Hi, thanks, Peggy, for this opportunity to share about, agency for the greater good, especially during these times. Well, Design for Change is unlike a magic formula. It's really a superhero formula. It is to get every child to unleash this agency for greater good. It's actually started with my son. 20 years ago, when my son went to school, I realized just how bleak education was and how quickly we get children to become quiet and compliant. And I could do one of two things. I could either complain about the situation and say, this is the way it's always been, nothing changes, what can one person do? But I think I responded as a designer because that comes from my background, and just simply put the idea of design process and thinking to say there has to be a better way. What if? And I think that started my journey. So I took my son out of school and started my school, the Riverside School, 20 years ago, and pretty much got the children of the school to become co-designers of their learning journey. And that created this simple superhero formula, which we call FIDS for kids: feel, imagine, do, and share. The idea of putting empathy at the start of any action, because till now I've only seen education talk about action, but not with empathy and imagination. So the idea of putting empathy as a starting point of getting children to understand their world, to understand their role they play in the world, and that they have the skills to fashion change for the greater good. So in 2009, launched Design for Change with this formula. And today it's wonderful to see that it is being used in around 70 countries. We have children across the world being the change. And it all started in this little school, but I think it was shaped by the vision of Mahatma Gandhi, because my school is in the land of Gandhi. So I think it just is a lovely full circle, and it's never more needed now. So the urgency of getting children to believe that even in these tough times, they have the kind of capability to look at the world with optimism. And whilst today the change might not be larger in the community, even in small little ways, they can make the world a better place. And that's a great endorsement for the global goals.
So specifically, Kiran, why design thinking, and in what way are you addressing the global goals?
Well, design thinking, like I say, always starts with empathy. It always starts asking the question with who and not the what and the how. So I believe getting children to recognize that they play a role and they're participants in this world and not just mere spectators is a very important way for them to understand that as citizens towards this world, they are responsible for creating and designing a desirable future. But it starts with today. It doesn't start with saying in 20 years you'll be able to do that. I think that's the shift we put in. We're not telling children you are the future. You are here today. And today you have the capacity to make the world a better place. And in doing these acts of change and cultivating this mindset of agency, each of these steps, it's a way to address those larger ideas of the global goals. So it's not just the government's responsibility. It is not just a policy and industry. It is a child, and in every child resides that power to be part of this global movement. So in every solution they bring, it's a solution towards one of the goals. So I think they play a very, very strong role.
Absolutely. And Karen, since we're talking about education, let me go right back to Effie. One of the most esteemed program of scholarships that was created a global network of scientists, researchers, professionals, and all kinds of artists. What are the challenges and opportunities of this network in the digital era?
Yes, the Onassis Foundation has granted 8,000 scholarships over the past 4 decades. These are the top experts in their respective fields. They're academics, practitioners, entrepreneurs, artists, and policymakers making local and global impact. For instance, in 2020, all the top graduates of all information technology and computer science universities of Greece have applied for the Onassis scholarships. So to support this network, we're following some concrete steps that lead to its digital transformation. One, we develop a data-centric infrastructure for following and supporting the scholars' work through the linking of their publications, research, and other activity with the maximization of the impact of their work. Two, we develop a digital platform where the scholars can meet, exchange ideas, and operate as a community irrespective of their physical location. Three, we link past and current scholars through a mentorship program. Four, overall, we like to keep track of their efforts and successes. So we are proud and we try to involve them as much as possible in our activities and projects. And if you visit the Onassis channel now, you will see award-winning artistic work created by Onassis scholars. We also develop an innovation program linking the scholars with the Onassis School Labs and the forthcoming Onassis Innovation Forum related to issues like artificial intelligence, data-centric, open access, technology transfer, etc. So this is all what we do about creating challenges and opportunities for them.
Thank you, Effie. Do we have Jimmy back? Or let's go to Maria. Maria Anagnostopoulou, project manager and financial analyst for Involve Entrepreneurship in Greece. You provide resources, education, and support to entrepreneurs. Can you tell us about how you're cultivating the global entrepreneurship ecosystem, and in particular, as it involves women entrepreneurs and startups? Maria.
Well, thank you for the invitation. Of course, Involve started as a Hellenic Entrepreneurship Award in 2012 when the startup ecosystem here in Greece was just starting to form. And in 2018, changed into Involve Entrepreneurship, encompassing the American Entrepreneurship Award, where we also provide our support towards startups and newly established businesses in Greece and the USA. Our purpose, our vision is to support those businesses, those people, those visions in entrepreneurship by providing initially annual award contests and offering them interest-free funding, mentorship, and business support services. And then after intensifying our support towards startups in Greece and the US, we offer free educational programs, seminars, webinars, and free tools for those who are newly established in the business ecosystem that do not have free access to tools in both English and in Greek. Part of our educational activities include our annual tour around Greece in 20 different cities, from distant islands close to Turkey, Minor Asia, to Xanthi, Corfu, to Crete, and 4 different cities in Crete, actually, by sharing best practices, innovation opportunities, business opportunities to people that do not have access to similar initiatives where you meet in Athens and in Thessaloniki. And during our tour, we have met quite a lot of women that are working against all odds to start their own business. But we see that there's a great spirit there across men and women, despite the difficult circumstances that the Greek economy has gone through. And I think this is the second major crisis that we're going through now due to the coronavirus pandemic. But especially, it's a great honor for us to see that female entrepreneurs trust Involve Entrepreneurship with their business ideas, their business dreams. And we have a great rate of 60% of female of women on CEO level or co-founders, the basic teams of these startups. We have seen that the ecosystem is changing drastically year after year, and we've seen a great leap of opportunities for women in entrepreneurship and business field. Of course, there's still a lot to be done, and we are always there to support anyone that needs access to resources to start their business dreams.
Maria, what are the key values that a successful startup share?
Mm-hmm. So what we've have reviewed over 5,000 or 6,000 business ideas. We've met tens of thousands of entrepreneurs through our tours, through our educational activities. What we see as a common factor of success is the element of team, the human capital. To see that someone is passionate about their idea, passionate about change, that is willing to do anything for their vision against all odds. And we get to see that a lot here in Greece. I think we've learned how to move past any kind of obstacles and work hard. So determination and team are the key values that we kind of view in all of these successful examples.
And along there with you at Involve is also Jimmy Athanasopoulos, who is responsible for the Libra social programs in Greece. Jimmy, can you tell us how you're involved in this and what are some of the most impactful moments, in particular those that helped transition the Greek economy and the innovation scene?
Thank you, Dr. Pelonis, and the organizer for this invitation. And go straight to the answer. So first of all, what is Libra Group? Libra Group is a global enterprise that operates in 6 different sectors in 35 countries, shipping, aviation, energy, hospitality, diverse, and also has a diverse portfolio of investments. So Libra Social, part of the responsibility of the group, of the business group called Libra Group, is the social responsibility and the need there is there to give community. This support to the community, this the give back to the community is basically done through 10 social programs. I'm privileged and honored to be chairing one of these programs and sitting on the board of others, but the one I'm chairing is entrepreneurship, and I'm privileged also to be working with Maria, my co-panelist here. So Involve is a non-profit 501c3 U.S. registered global organization supports entrepreneurship. But let me give you a brief story of how this all began. In 2012, right when the recession started, approximately, the recession in Greece, we all have heard about this recession. When bright minds were leaving the country, when business people were migrating to other cities of the world and countries of the world, Europe and the US and Australia and so forth, the group decided to turn this around and basically out of this crisis to turn the crisis into an opportunity. So Involve was initially established in 2012 under a different name, the Hellenic Entrepreneurship Award. And it was born out of the belief that the lifeline of an economy is entrepreneurship. So we truly believe that all these entrepreneurs should have all the resources and everything that is needed and required for them to flourish and to at least implement their business plan. So Involve entrepreneurship basically lies and rests 3 pillars. It's education, it's like the Onassis Foundation, it's resources, and it's awards. Education, let's break that down. That is basically given out through seminars, trainings, webinars. Even we Involve Greece recently acquired the permit from the Ministry of Education to also teach in schools, in public schools, not only public, private schools as well. So we're honored to see that. So the second pillar is resources. These are tools given out to entrepreneurs and people who want to venture out and need the resources and don't have people that don't have the knowledge and don't have the know-how, but have the idea. We complement that. So business plan generators, entrepreneurs. Recently in COVID-19, we even created this team in Greece, created the entrepreneur survival kit for the COVID-19 era. It was a tough era for business people. And the third pillar, and probably the oldest one, is the awards pillar. The awards pillar that is translated into funding, a mentorship, and business support services. Funding, I can explain what funding is here: an interest-free loan given out to the awardees of these awards. This is a financial tool like no other because it doesn't have any executive role of ours, any board seats. We don't take any board seats. We don't take any equity. We don't take any stake in these companies. What happens here is that we give out an interest-free loan to all these winners, and they are obliged or obligated basically to return the money back so we can recycle the money into other winners, into other entrepreneurs. Mentorship is given to these ventures through a C-suite level, in-house or externally. So a CEO from one of our companies, a general manager, a CFO, a COO is assigned based on his or her portfolio, his or her experience, know-how, and we complement. We basically match this experience to the activity of these companies, and magic happens. It's all about chemistry. It's all about caring. It's all about nurturing and cultivating these ideas. And the third pillar of support involve awards provides these winners with is business support in branding, marketing, communication, legal, IT, accounting, HR, supply chain, you name it. Everything that exists in-house or externally can be provided pro bono for free to these winners. I should say here that in 2015, the Barack Obama administration, through its president, Barack Obama himself, asked our leader in the Libra group, George Logotheris, to replicate the program in disenfranchised and in underserved communities in the U.S., and there are many of those in the U.S. So we first entered the South Bronx community, and after that we entered Miami-Dade. The program basically now has been replicated in more than 8-9 states, and we're very proud to see that. However, in the U.S., the need is larger since the population is larger. In Greece, we are happy to say that many business plans, and Maria has seen probably, if not all, most of the business plans that have made it or not in Greece involve. Greece has probably the largest database of business plans in the Balkans. We're proud to see that. We have given out millions of dollars, but that is not what I'm here to say. And I'm here to basically state that it's not what you give, it's how the other end leverages it. So we have given funds to companies that have leveraged that times 10, times 20, 30, and they have a valuation of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. For instance, one case is Blue Ground, which right now has a valuation of 150 million, and like 5 years ago, it was a company of 5-6 employees. So we're very proud to see Involve flourishing, because it's not Involve flourishing; it's all these entrepreneurs that are bright and talented and have stayed back, instead of extending the brain drain. We think it's a brain regain or brain gain in Greece.
And it's particularly hopeful, Jimmy, when this type of social interest reflects the younger generation, and we see them take initiative. So I'm moving right on to Lidia Piniru, who is a rising sophomore at Royal Holloway University in the UK. But when she was a sophomore in high school, she founded an initiative called Kinonos, where she decided that she wanted to work with the homeless. Lidia, can you tell us, why did you feel that it was important to begin this initiative, and why did you name it Kinonos?
First of all, thank you for having me. I have basically, to be honest, I've always felt that the world needs changes, that things can improve and they can get better. And living is changing, it's developing, it's moving forward. I also felt love for the people, all people, especially the unfortunate ones. And at the same time, I kind of realized from being a student that we kind of live in a bubble that separates us sometimes from the real world. And we don't really know what's happening out there. We do not know the behind the scenes. And I had that need inside of me to discover what was behind the bubble and the difficulties that existed out there and the struggles, the unfairness that some people have to go through. And most people who are homeless, they weren't born homeless. Some of them had very good careers and very good lives before this, and somehow they ended up in this situation. And I wanted to find out, how did they end up there, and what could be done for those people and in order to bring them back. And the idea came to my mind to create a school club, where I named it Kinonos, which comes from the ancient Greek word kinonia, which basically means community. Kinonos itself is the one who participates, who is a member and shares the values of his or her community. And I chose this name because I felt that the homeless people are still members of our communities, and just because they are found in a difficult situation, that doesn't mean they're any different than what we are, and that we should not forget them. And the main goal of the club was to get in touch with these homeless people, and my main goal was the human contact. I wanted to get to know their stories, give them an opportunity to express themselves, and let them know that we are here, we care for them, and that we haven't forgotten them just because they're in a difficult position today. And through this, you're able to give them hope so that they're able to return to the community and be active members of their society. And I thought the best way to achieve all this was through weekly visits downtown to the bad areas where the homeless people live, and to hear these people out, to give them what they need: blankets, clothing, food, and just give a little of our time in order to hear them out, because they also have nobody to talk to, really. So that's it pretty much.
So, Lidia, what were some of the obstacles that you faced doing this, and what compelled you to keep going?
There were many obstacles in the beginning. Most of the adults that I went to with this idea, they turned me down. And I was told that this was a very dangerous idea. I was told that I was too young to do this. I was about 15 at the time, and that I should be focusing on my studies and what university I'm going to go to, and to let adults deal with these situations. But I wasn't discouraged. On the contrary, I became more persistent. I felt that the goal was worth any effort I had to give, and I had a family who supported me. And then I realized that my friends and my classmates were very enthusiastic about this idea. They also supported me, and we had about 70 students who joined our club in the school, when the most students in a club would be about 15, 20. So it made a big difference for me that I had so many kids who wanted to participate. And so this helped me be more determined about succeeding with this project. And what compelled me to keep going with this is all the support I got from the students mostly, and from my favorite teacher. They increased my motivation. I wanted to prove people wrong, that you can make a difference, even if it's a small one. And I had a passion for listening to people's stories and wanting to learn from their stories. So it also helped me and to grow that was basically my strongest motivation. I also believe that when you want to change the world for the better, you cannot fail. Even a child, with its pure heart and strong desire, has the power to make the world a better place. And this can happen through love and contribution. And through all the support that I got, I had more power to continue what I wanted to do, even though I knew that a lot of people were against it. And I'm glad I did, because my reward was the spark of hope and happiness that I saw in these people's eyes, and how we did change. We kind of changed their world and they changed ours. And now I know that by planting the first tree, we can build a forest and people will follow. And it's definitely worth it to try and change the world for the better, even if you make a small difference.
Thank you, Lydia. And I want to move on, education, it all comes back to that. And I want to move on to Cam, who is the CEO for the Educational Collaborative in International Schools. And Cam, could you tell us, ECIS was the first education collaborative to serve Europe and has grown into a leading global association. Can you tell us a little bit about how ECIS's mission is moving towards the Sustainable Development Goals?
Yes, of course. Hello, Peggy. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be with you all at the Global Goals Summit. I just want to change a little bit of what I was going to say. I'd like to commend Lydia. Lydia, what you're creating is a movement. So just like you, some decades ago, I always felt the need to change the world. And just like you, people thought I was a little bit crazy and trying to do too much. But you're absolutely right. You can change the world little by little and by helping whoever you can. And the stories and the commonality connect each and every one of us. And it's a joint responsibility. So Lydia, I'm just in awe of what you're doing. Well done you, and I'd like to meet you sometime in the UK. So let me then go back to ECIS. So here at ECIS, we value keeping learning at the heart of everything we do. We are courageous and ethical leaders and building connection amidst diverse perspectives. So the first thing is that we have 400 school members in 78 countries. We provide online PD and thought leadership, conferences and courses, ultimately improving outcomes for learners. What we are is an authentic voice in guiding by this mission. And we reflect this in our board. We have a really diverse board that brings lots of ideas. So we have a deep respect for all cultures and understanding. Also our staff, again, we're a really diverse group. So how we feel that we contribute specifically to Goal 4 to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and to promote lifelong learning. Through our special interest groups, they're a network of exceptional volunteers who collaborate with us, and then we bring PD across many different areas. So we've got a PE, special interest group, student support. We're the only ones that do a libraries conference. And what we do is then take this PD to teachers across many countries and many schools. So recently, we were the first association that moved conferences online. So that grew our conference from 350 to 900 delegates. And what it showed us were that delegates from countries like Nepal, Gambia and Vietnam could join us. They were people that wouldn't really fly to Europe, stay in expensive hotels. So actually it showed us that we need to take PD to these faraway countries.
Cam, you have 400 schools and in 78 countries.
Yes.
Do you have plans to expand that and go further?
We're always expanding, because one of the things we're trying to do through our membership, we offer a host of courses, including child protection. We work closely with ICMEC, and we are one of the founder members of the International Task Force around child protection. And to make this more accessible for everybody, we offer this course in different languages. We've developed a China-specific course, which is delivered in Mandarin as well as English. And we also had to do a different course for the Middle East market because our course that we had wasn't suitable, and we also then translated that into Arabic. So all support staff, everybody that's in contact with any children at these schools, you know, knows what their responsibilities are very, very explicitly.
Let me open it up with some questions, and anyone feel free to jump in at any time. Let me ask you, what are some of the skills that you believe that young people should master in order to lead the effort of the Sustainable Development Goals? How do we help children develop the skills to really do what you do? In your organization, if you were seeing one of these young people, what would you look for in order to bring them on board?
We need Lydia to provide them with student support and be a role model for them. You know, teachers and people that look to play a major part in helping other students to achieve these attributes. They have to be those role models, and they have to show the possibility of change, the possibility of being able to achieve whatever you can. You know, my family came here as immigrants in the 60s and 70s. My dad was a bus driver during the time when Enoch Powell made his speech about the rivers of blood. We lived in that constituency. I went to school at age 5, not being able to speak English. So, it's all those people where you look at them and you think, actually, that is somebody I could be. And it's a joint responsibility. We all need to be working towards better outcomes for everybody, not just thinking about ourselves and within our group. So my children tell me off quite often. So if I see an elderly person walking, and I know they're going to the shops because I'm going there, I stop and I pick them up. And my children think that I frighten the old people, but I think, it saves them walking up that hill. Equally, I'm a Sikh, and Sikhs believe in seva, which is service. So if I'm going to the temple, I've arrived with a car full of elderly people that I've seen doddering down the road. So my children think I'm kidnapping old people, but that's not the case.
I totally agree with everything you just said. And I think that any person that has a young mind and a dream, someone who's a dreamer, they can totally create things like that. Someone who has love and compassion for people, animals, nature, everything, our planet, even everything. But with love and giving as characteristics of their personality, and a passion to change and to make things better, I think that's what someone needs. And of course, organizational skills and the ability to create things and to inspire and to motivate is also very important skills to have. But when it comes from inside, and when you have that passion of changing the world or changing a small part of it, I think in two words, it can bring like amazing results and add to the overall sustainable development goal effort in general.
If I may jump in, I have something in common with both Cam and Lydia. When I was born in the States, I grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina. It's not Chicago, it's not New York, it's not Washington, so it's totally different. And being a Greek girl there with a too long name at school, it's always different. But of course, you're privileged to have a family that's very active. Both of my parents, they grew up in Chicago, so they were very close to the Greek American community there. And when I was born in Wilmington, my parents had a vision to create the Greek school there. There was a Greek Orthodox church that kind of gathered around all the Greek American community there. So they started the weekly lessons, dance lessons, cooking lessons, because most of the kids my age are like second or third generation Greek American, so nothing close to our roots. And when I was 12 years old, my parents decided to move to Greece. I didn't know any Greek at all. I had a loving grandmother that she used to be a teacher. She taught me all the Greek during that first summer in Greece. But I had the opportunity to bring with me that sense of community that my parents had in the States, that sense of, let's say, activism, voluntarism that we had in the States. And we got to bring that to the public schools here, because my parents, their mindset was to put me in public schools, be with other Greek children so I can understand their mindset. And so having that kind of like mixture of, being active, but the Greek way of thinking, problem-solving thinking, I think that kind of gave myself and my friends like the feeling of trying to bring change in our community. So we're all very active in our local city of Nea Zmini in Athens. We do meetups for entrepreneurship, many activities in the city. And that's something that I believe that most the young generation, since they have like a more multicultural background, access to different kind of people, diverse people, I think that the force of change is now more easier than ever. Despite all the challenges that we have, like now we have like a pandemic, as you know, in 1918, when Mark earlier in our offline discussion mentioned that children weren't going to schools back then. Oh, well, back then most of the children weren't at school. Now everyone is in a school. Of course, access to technology still is not easy for everyone. It's not accessible to everyone, but things are going to change slowly, and we have to work towards that direction.
Yeah, we do have to work towards that. We still have 61 million children of primary school that aren't in education. 53% of them are girls, and they're not enrolled in any school, so they'll never be able to read and write. And coming back to what you were saying about being multilingual, so it's proven if you're multilingual, both of those languages are always active in your mind, and actually it does make people generally better problem solvers.
You know, I was just thinking another thing that we have to keep reminding ourselves is to stop being surprised by our children. I mean, forever, our children in the first 2 years of their life on the planet tell us how amazing they are. Yeah. I mean, every child on the planet goes from crawling to sitting to standing to laughing to talking to smiling to thinking in the first 2 years. Yeah. Every child on the planet. And then what do? We send them to school. And then we say, please, now you must sit down. Now you must keep quiet. And we do this for 15 years. And then we're surprised, my God, what happened to our children? How come they're not empathetic, responsible? So I keep wondering, why do we have to keep reminding ourselves about this inherent capacity? All it needs is somebody to listen. Yeah. And that transaction, that relationship of listening is the greatest gift to give another human being. And within that is respect. And within that is that relationship of equity and love, like Lydia says, and of course, Karen was saying. So I think sometimes I'm constantly surprised. Why are we surprised by what the human capacity is? And what role we can play in that relationship with our children. So I feel that's an important demonstration. And I think with the Design for Change, we have children as young as 5 and 6 demonstrating their potential. And I find that the people that surprise me the most are the adults who look at the kids and say, oh my God, I didn't know they were so amazing. And I'm saying, where are you? So I think one of the things we have to do is remind ourselves and about that potential and our role as adults that we play in their lives. Yes. And that's how your Lydias happen. Not by chance, but by design.
Sorry, Lydia.
I'm just thinking that what you're saying is very important, because I think everyone has something to say, but not too many people can listen.
Yeah.
And it's important to listen in every way. And except from that, along with listening, as you said, and everything, support as well, because knowing that right now that all of you are making such a difference in this world, and knowing that you all support young children to be able to make a difference in the future or tomorrow or today is really important, because I had everyone against me except one of my favorite teachers, and if it wasn't for her, it wouldn't have been easy for me to create the change that I wanted to make. So having people to support you is a blessing, and I think that every single one of you who are doing that it's really amazing. And
yeah, it takes just one sometimes, right? Yeah, it does.
So what I think is amazing about this discussion, it's just unbelievable, and we've had a lot of discussions, but this is just a perfect example of listening. So when we ask global leaders the question, what advice would you give people? one of the common answers is always listen. But and it's directed toward youth, listen and listen. But I think global leaders and folks like on this panel today, including the youth on the panel, which I think is incredibly inspiring, the global leaders need to listen. They need to stop and listen because they don't know everything. So if they stop and listen to you, Lydia, I think that's where some of the solutions come from. And I love what you said about, although it's disheartening that most of you teachers or people that, you know, when you came up with the idea didn't support the concept, that one person supported you and said, you can do it. And I think having a limitless mindset of you can do it, you know, we've all had that experience. My grandparents did that for me. There was never any boundaries. I grew up the same way. I grew up in the United States, but I couldn't speak English. And they were born here as well, and they spoke only Greek to me. So I you know, showed up at kindergarten, and I said, Tikanis. And the kids there were like, who is this guy? And so I had to figure it out pretty quickly. But we all assume things. And I think empathy that we heard earlier is really the most important element to all of this, because if you can empathize with someone's situation that you're trying to affect and impact, you can truly change the world. And the other important piece that I'm hearing today is one person can affect change. I mean, we all think, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to begin? But it takes one step to create that movement. And you really can, with people around you, like on this panel today, that say, you know what, incredible, you can do it. And by the way, they're listening. You can change the world.
Yeah.
And by the way, also, it's not easy to change the world. Or someone would have done it a long time ago. None of this is easy. But you need everyone to listen, and you need everyone to step in to say, if it's youth, if it's someone older, it doesn't matter who it is. You need to be able to just stop and listen. Wouldn't that make the world a better place and accelerate change exponentially?
Yeah,
it would.
Well, George, you and Ideagen are doing exactly that. You're giving people something to listen to and something to talk about, because communication goes two ways. And being in the media industry and being a film producer, I don't have amazing organizations like you guys. I don't run an organization. I'm not a social warrior. I'm not a politician. I'm not a famous actor. But what I do is I make films. And so I can model things. I can communicate to people. I can put these ideas and these opportunities and these things that people are doing into films and give them an opportunity to see it and give them something to talk about and have an emotional reaction to. So my weapon is film and television, to communicate and to get people to
Incredible,
listen.
Mark.
yeah, an amazing weapon to have, Mark. Kieran, I just wanted to say to you, the design for change, that's a really powerful thing to do in India, where everybody wants their children just to achieve certain grades and to do certain things. So I'm really, quite in awe of what you're doing. To do that in India, with a mindset, it's a really great piece of work to do.
Yeah, and I keep saying that if you do something in India, it can happen anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and
You have all the diversity, all the complexity, and if you just make that dent and say that it's possible, then I think it's great. And I keep saying yoga and design for change, two expos from India.
Because schools have to create that. So that
I would love to have you look at it. Yes.
A source of inspiration. It's a source of inspiration. Develop it, and then it helps develop awareness and responsibility in children. So your work is going to really impact. I hope it takes over all of India. I really do, Kieran, because it really changed there in the way that children are being schooled.
The other thing I think is important to note is look at this convening today, cross-sector. We have NGOs, we have business, we have all sorts of people from the educational world, youth, older folk. It's all a cross-sector collaboration element, and we're all learning from each other today, which is, and you know what is really exciting, and this is a hallmark of what we do, is it's authentic.
Yeah.
This isn't like a scripted conversation, and there's a place for that. Mark, of course, in media. You can really have, in film, in television, obviously, but it's authentic, and having authentic conversations can inspire people.
Yeah, absolutely. Although there's no older people on the call. I think we're all relatively young.
Well, I'm an AARP member.
18 till I die.
I think everyone here is such an incredible. Go ahead, Effie.
I just wanted to add 2 more characteristics about young people who are, facing challenges, or they're trying to find a job. I think that they have to be agile and resilient and be able to adjust. And they need to have those soft skills that promote collaboration, critical thinking, and work ethic, creativity, and resourcefulness, because this makes them motivated with a positive attitude, and they make them active citizens that feel part of the community. So I really think that this is very important, and very few educational systems do that. And I'm very happy that Kieran said all these words, because I totally agree with her. Empathy and emotional intelligence and all those soft skills are really, really crucial for the production and the creation of active citizens with an ethical basis. And I am also thinking, what I say to young people is that you have to act outside of your comfort zone and take calculated risks, and sometimes a leap of faith. You need that, because when you take responsibilities for your actions and accept accountability for them, this is how you make little leaders, and then younger or bigger leaders. So,
And I think all of you are such incredible role models for the youth, but also it's good to see the wisdom of the youth before school kind of takes over and puts them in a different direction. I thank you all so much for being here today. I know that in many ways, although you are all in the educational sector, I think that in many ways you are informing education and informing the education for the future from your perspective lenses. And so I just want to say thank you for convening today and providing us with your wisdom. And yes, George, we are certainly listening, and a lot of people will be listening to this.
Well, Peggy, on behalf of Ideagen TV, we are just thrilled by this conversation. The millions of people that will listen to this and see this conversation, hopefully, will be inspired. Peggy Pelonis, president of ACS Athens, how can we ever thank you for your global leadership?
I thank you. I thank you for being on this team, and generally for what you're all doing. Thank you.
Well, we all need to play our part, right? So it's time to change the world. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
This copyrighted Ideagen telecast is presented by Ideagen Global. It may not be reproduced, rebroadcasted, or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Ideagen Global. The views expressed by guests and guest hosts on Ideagen programming are their own, and their appearance on Ideagen programming does not represent an endorsement of them or any entity they represent.